Karibu mheshimiwa.
Nashukuru sana. Jamani, kampuni haiendi vizuri. Mwaka jana tumeshindwa kabisa kufikia malengo tuliyoweka. Hata momentum ya timu imepungua sana. Naomba tupate ufumbuzi wa hili kwa sababu sitaki tufeli tena mwaka huu.
Mheshimiwa, mimi nina wazo. Nafikiri wafanyakazi wote tunahitaji training ili tuongeze mauzo kwa asilimia zaidi ya 40, ufanisi wa kazi na momentum ya management.
Okay, nafikiri ni wazo zuri.
Baada ya kufahamu dunia inataka nini, Mikono Speakers International tumejitokeza kuokoa makampuni mengi kwa kuanzisha utaratibu wa kutoa mafunzo katika makampuni na taasisi mbalimbali ili kuwawezesha wafanyakazi na kampuni kwa ujumla kuendana na kasi ya sasa na mapinduzi ya viwanda. Mikono Speakers International tunatoa mafunzo ya aina zote, tailor-made training na mafunzo yanayoendana na kalenda yetu, aina zote za technical na management training. Wasiliana nasi kwa 0717 109 362 au email sales@excel.co.tz. Mikono Speakers, join hands to transform life.
To welcome our first speaker from South Africa, Mr. Oscar Omotri, a business coach, management consultant, serial entrepreneur, founder of Billion House Consulting, based in Cape Town, South Africa. You've been in the industry over 10 years, coaching, consulting, and doing entrepreneurship.
It's nice to be here today, and I want to thank the host, Mikono's speakers. Thank you for this opportunity, flying me all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. So today we'll be looking at how do you position? Because positioning is critical to success. Positioning is a critical factor. Now, I heard the MC for the day saying, I just don't want you to sit there and think it's just going to happen. This is one event that is going to change and blow your mind. Not just that, I am a coach. When I mean I'm a coach, I don't just talk. We hold you by the hands. That was why I asked you to go greet someone. Because there is power when you connect. You can only give to the extent of what you have inside of you. If you are cold, you can't expect the other person to come fire you up. It doesn't work that way. We need to flow at the same frequency so that at the end of the day, you are living here fully charged, renewed, discarding the old things, because I promise you, I'm going to challenge everything you have ever known. Once you sit under my voice, there's something I try to encourage people to do. Throw away what you've ever known before. Forget about it. At this point, you know nothing. You know why? We are not limited because we don't know. We are limited because of one way we know it. Stereotype. Bureaucratic system. And then you walk in an office, your customer service, you understand it, is offering the service like you were taught. So there's nothing like go out of the box and think. Does that make sense? So you are not limited by what you already know. In fact, it is what you know that is keeping you. So at this point, my mission is to challenge your thinking. I want to challenge you to move out of the box. It's a cliche, we all say it, out of the box, out of the box. And yet, after a while, we still go back to the box. Today is going to be completely throw away the box. To position you as the expert. Why? Because you were much more better. You know you are good than you are right now. You could earn more than what you currently earning. You can transform your company if you know this one thing. I just want to share to you this morning. That's why I need you to think differently. That's why I want you to look at it very, very different from what you've ever known, because it's a new day. Say it's a new day. I need the vibes. I'm not getting it, Tanzania. Make me happy. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day, obviously. So I need new vibes. Forget about the situation of the economy. When I flew in yesterday, or even before I came, I did a little research about the company. And then the MC was re-echoing it this morning. How many thousands of people that have been graduated into what we call the labor market. And then after the graduation, maybe companies can only take, he said 10%. So what happened to 1,000 graduates, for instance, and company can only hire 10%? What becomes of the rest 99%? So that's why we'll be looking at how you can actually take what you know and see how we can go out of the box, become the expert. Does that make sense to you? If you paid, I promise you, you would get your money doubled. You get value, real value to transform your life. Firstly, it begins with your mind. You need to shift your mind. When you start seeing things differently, everything around you changes. Once everything changes, your mind changes, you will see the result you will begin to get because your mind is completely changed. So today my assignment is on how to position you to become the go-to expert in your field. How many entrepreneurs do I have here? Can I see your hand up? If you are in a paid employed, can I see your hand up? You are still doing the 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. Paid employed, can I see your hand up? If you're not working at all, can I also see your hand up? Everyone is working, I understand. Great. So today, we will look at how you can actually become that expert in your business. How you will become the expert in your office. As a matter of fact, I started my career in the banking space. For 10 years, I was in the banking industry. We do all of those finance. It's the same thing, never mind. It's the same thing. The put in, garbage out. It's the same thing everywhere. It has to do with money, so it has to do with credibility, it has to do with authenticity, it has to do with someone believing you to give your company or your bank money. So, how do I need to stand out where I am? Firstly, I started from the sales, I did customer service, and then in the same system, I wrote my first book, or my second book, Thriving in the Marketplace. And immediately, I moved from sales, customer service to HR. And then once I wrote the book blew. For the first time, I was traveling, not just within the country, outside of the country, via one book. And then one idea, one book, one presentation can give me my 30-day salary. Am I crazy? What am I still doing there? Then I decide to quit. That's how it is. But you need to understand, firstly, what you have inside of you. That's the first starting point. And that's where I need your mind to be focusing on right now. How do I become the go-to expert? How do I become the person that everyone looks up to? Why are you not earning your worth in spite of all that you know? Why are you not earning your worth? If I ask most of you that are in the paid employed, you would agree with me that probably what you take home is not in your estimation. That's not the real you. But because you can't stay without a job, you just have to take it. That's why you are there. Now we want to challenge all of those thinking. So you'll be learning how you can actually position yourselves and how you can actually, the rules of engagement when you are engaging, if you are in your own business. That's this young man. 10 years ago, this journey started. And once it all started, everything around me changed by what I knew. I'm not going to speak on the conventional thing that you are so used to or you know of. How to become an expert, write a book, own a website, get recommendations, get people to give you testimonials. Those are what you pick up on Google. You just simple things on how you can actually become an expert. These are what you are taught. But how do you take it out from where you are? So my mission this morning is very simple. To help you work smarter, whether you are in the paid employed or you work for yourself, how do you work and become much more smarter to succeed in everything that you do? The third thing is get what you want each time you want it. How? So the more you pay attention to me, you will actually get answers to all this. In coaching, let me tell you what we do. The answer is not that we, as the coach, have the answer. The answer still lies with you. But the thing is this, not too many people really get to understand the power that is within them. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need someone to hold you by the hand and say, how about you think this way? How about you try this other way? What if we go this other approach? What if we do something completely different? That's what a coach does for you. And that's what I hope that you will be able to achieve today. So we help you find solution to every problem, create personal action plan. Because this is the most important, an action plan. You are where you are right now because of the things you do, because of the friends you keep. One of my coach, Dr. Nindo, did say the word. He says, his mother taught him, if you want to be educated, go look for the learned people, the educated people, hang out with them. If you want to be successful, what must you do? Go and check what the poor guys are doing. Don't do it. Does that make sense? If you want to be successful, check what the guys that are failing are doing. They do not have discipline to anything, so they just do things the way they can. You would never be successful in life without some element of discipline. There is no way you will advance from where you are to the next place you want to be without changing your routine. So these are factors that you need to look into when you say, I want to become the expert. I did ask you this morning, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Part of the problem we have is not that we don't really know how, but it is about consistency. It's about discipline. It's about the thing I'm doing right now. 5 years from now, what will be the repercussion? Because definitely everything we do have its own repercussion. You would get to meet it. You refuse to go to school, no problem. 5 years down the line, you will be unemployed. You might never ever get a job. You choose to go to school, you are trading your time so that maybe 5 years in the varsity, you come out as a doctor, as a lawyer. You have traded time for being a lawyer, traded time for being a doctor, traded time, engineer, whatever you call it, you trade time. And that is discipline. 95% of the people don't succeed in their career. You know why? Do you know why they don't succeed? Here's the reason. They have the wrong knowledge about everything. The system with which they work with is completely faulty, wrong. And they quit too soon. So they start a business. Probably who told them, maybe Mikono speakers have been encouraging people to go into entrepreneur. Start your own business, do your own stuff. and then after a while, no profit, business is not forthcoming. The next thing is they quit. So this is why 95% of the people you know, check it, do a self-inventory right now. This is why they do not succeed. They have the wrong knowledge, wrong system, and they quit too soon. So this is why you've not succeeded in all you do. Old ways won't, don't, always, will not open new doors. That was why I said to you, can you please change the way you've ever think or thought about a conference, a seminar? The reason is this, because my seminar is not the kind of seminar you are used to. Forget the slide, it will just be something like this. But if you follow based on what I tell you, that's where you get the message. It all depends on, can you write? You don't attend a conference with your hands and just think your head is too loaded and too big. Your head can't be too big. You know why? Science tells us you can only retain maximum for a day, highest 1 week, and then you return back to your old self. And then, oh, I forgot what he said. Oh, I can't remember. So a short pen or pencil is far more better, useful, than just thinking you can comprehend everything I'm saying right now. That's not possible. And that is one recipe for failure. Did I hit you? I'm sorry, but I'm always very hard. You don't take action. You don't take yourself serious. How can you pay for an event like this and you don't take it seriously? Why will you leave every other thing you've been doing, show up here to go back the same way? Why? So it's all about your approach. Old ways can never open new doors. Old ways of thinking. My friend, we have this quote we say, it is not what you don't have that limits you. It is what you've got you don't know how to make use of. Tell yourself the truth. You hear people always say, it's because I didn't go to school, that's why I'm not employed. Haven't you seen guys that didn't go to school that are entrepreneurial? Haven't you seen? The other one will say, it is because I don't have money, that is why I'm not able to. Haven't you seen people make move? I've got a friend who needed to start a huge business. He needed 20 million to finance that work. But he had nothing on him. Guess what he had? He got an idea. What idea? He broke the 20 million into 5 people. If I could have 4 persons give me 5 million each, I'm sorted. Once he got 2 who gave him 4 for each, 5 million, that was taken care of. What about the remaining 10? He broke it down. If I could find 10 more persons that gives me 1 million, I'm sorted. He's running his business right now. He's a multi-millionaire. But he started from nothing. So, take back this word. It is not what you don't have that limits you. It is what you have you don't know how to use. If I'm in your shoe, I probably would think differently. That's how we challenge your thinking. If I am in his shoe, how will I do it? How do you think he would have done it? So you keep tasking your head to change. That's why I said, old ways. The old way of always believing you need money to do everything, old ways can never, ever open new doors. It keeps you in the same spot, in the same place, with the same results, and possibly with the same kind of people. Can we talk about association? You are the average, I'm sure you already know this, of the people you associate yourself with. I know you know this. Now the question is, why are we or are you still hanging around those same people without a vision? They're not going anywhere. They've never done anything big in their lives. So when they see you with a brilliant ideas, what do they say? It's not possible. Just forget about it. You can't do it. I know you can't do it. So those are the kind of things you begin to hear. Now, let's get back to this. Who is an expert? Can I ask you? Who want to tell me, 1, 2 person? Who do you think? Who is an expert? Anyone who wants to try? Good. Thank you, my friend. Good. Someone with a deep knowledge. Any other person who wants to try again? Who is an expert? Anyone? Great. Experience, expertise, fantastic. Any other person? Any other? Thank you, my friend. Professionally, thank you. Okay, now you are all right. The thing is this. The expert that you know is first, a human like you. 2, he just know one little thing better than you know. That's the difference. He's one human, he's like you, but he just knows something, very little thing, different from what you know. And if I ask you, will you be willing to pay for anything to get one little thing more than you know? Will you be willing to do that? I can tell you how much you want a thing by 2 things. It is not enough to say, I want to be an expert. Everybody says that. I want to be super rich. I want to be successful. I could tell you by 2 things how badly you need it. 1, what you are willing to do. 2, what you're willing to give up to get it. It's as simple as that. 2 things that could tell if you will become an expert, the go-to person in your field, by 2 simple things. What are you willing to do? And what are you willing to give up? So if I tell you right now that in the next room, please listen. If I tell you right now that in the next room, you can automatically become an expert by just crossing the door into the next room, you are an expert. Will you be willing to do that? How many of you would like to do it? Only 1 person? Are you shy? Please, I need your energy. Great. That's the difference. The ground is crowded. The top is where you've got space. That's where the experts are. Now, the experts are people like this. Take a look at soccer. We're in the World Cup, right? How many of you love soccer? Can I see your hand? Say hi. Football. In this industry, there are 2 guys that are redefining. These guys are mesmerizing what we all thought we knew about soccer. And you know them. My favorite, do you want to know? Who is your favorite? Well, I've always been a fan of Messi, and I will be a fan of Messi till tomorrow. All right. Okay, now the point here is this. There are 2 guys in the same space. What are they doing differently? That is how you know who is an expert. I read about Ronaldo and Messi. These 2 guys, one thing that stands them out, even their peers attest to it, is discipline. Go read it. Ronaldo is always the first to be at the gym or at the training ground. It looks simple. I want you to look this I'm trying to make it as simple, as easy you can relate. What makes you an expert is not the big terminology. Maybe in medicine, in law, entrepreneur, you learn big words. Those are not what makes you an expert. What makes you an expert is just that little thing you're doing differently from the rest. That's what positions you, that you add value. You are giving out value. So when people come in contact with you, they get value. So the person is more experienced, probably more education, and it does things differently than you would always do. Some people are literally okay with the average. They do not task themselves. They do not charge themselves. They want to become the expert, but they're not working on their mind. What are the key things affecting you, keeping you at the same spot? It is your mind. So it all begins here. It is your mind. Say the mind. Okay. Now, if I ask you to talk again and then you give me this low tune, I'm going to ask everyone to all stand. Do we have a deal? So it all begins in the mind. I bet you, it doesn't matter how many trainings some people attend, they will still be the same person they've always been. So here's where the transformation takes place. The expert in you begins here. Like I said, writing a book, awesome. Having a website, fantastic. Hang out with the big guys, the influential people. I was privileged to have met, what is his name? Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela. Those things, they are good. In fact, when I met Desmond Tutu, and someone called me, I got a business, just, wow, you know this man? How did you meet him? That alone takes care of relationship. I understand how you build becoming an expert and authority with those associations. My point this morning is not about those sides. I'm dealing about the internal. So you are a resemblance of the way you think. The way you think is who you are. There's absolutely nothing different from that. The mind. There's these two ways of how people kind of put themselves. There's a growth mindset. The people who just believe they can grow and improve. Constantly they're moving, advancing. They meet failures. They are learning from their failures, taking it as a lesson to jump again. But you also do have some people that meets failure and then they are stuck. Nothing to do. So they give up. Remember I told you 3 things why people, 95% are not successful. One of it, they give up too easily. They are walking and operating in a very wrong system, wrong belief, wrong mindset. Oh, there's unemployment, business is not moving in Tanzania, that is why I am in this level. And yet, you are seeing immigrants, foreign nationals coming into your country, identifying opportunities, and give the person 5 years. He's driving one of the latest cars. And then you sit there and say, but there's no opportunity. Again, it is not what you don't have that limits you. It is that you've got, but you don't know how to make use of it. So, when I talked about becoming the expert, it begins from the mind. What do you think or see yourself to be? So you have the growth. Who believe I can develop my abilities? Challenges help me to grow. Feedback is constructive. Effort is necessary. And then you have the other one, which 95% is made up of this fixed mindset. It's either I can do it or I can't. You hear a lot of people always saying, I can't. For entrepreneurs, the real entrepreneurs, there is nothing like I can't. The only thing is, give me time to figure it out. You selling products, your client shows up, you don't have, and there is demand. An entrepreneur suddenly picks that up. Like, I think there's beginning to be demand for this product. I need to go do research. I need to know how I can get it. And then he supplies. But But we have a situation where some people are just comfortable where they are. So it's all about the mind. Why do you want to be an expert? Minds. What level? What higher level? The expert level. Now, who else again? Before I say the last person from the back this time. Who is that person that wants to be an expert? If you can't say it, if you can't put your hands up, then you're not one. Forget it. Who else? Thank you. In sales. Why? You can convince anyone to buy anything. Thank you for all of you. Thank you so much. Now, the truth is this. Becoming an expert, I've made something clear here. An expert is just someone who knows one little thing than the rest. Do you agree with that? An expert is someone with one little experience than the rest. Do you agree with that? An expert is someone who can close more deals with ease than the rest. Do you agree with that? Now, what are these things that makes this guy an expert? 3 things. 3 things summarizes the person that is an expert. 1 is branding. 2 is strategy. The 3rd thing is creativity. I told you I don't want to go the conventional way. When you talk about becoming an expert, yes, you need to dress well. Dress the way you want to be addressed. Do you agree with that? Yes, it's part of it. Your ethics is one of it. Learn how to speak very fantastic. Go get a website or create a website for your business. Awesome. Have a social media presence. That is powerful. I've been to countries via social media. And I was chatting with Andy. He will be talking to you guys about sales. He got here via social media. So, yes, that's how powerful it is. That's how powerful it is. All of these are very important. But here are the 3 steps, the 3 things you need to become the go-to expert in your field. Yes, you want to practice very well. Yes, you want to take your mind to the next level. And Scholar said she wants to take her tourism to the zenith. And there is a young lady that says, I want to be that lady that closes just anything. I can sell anything. Now, what you need is 1, branding. Can we all say branding? Branding. All of you wants to be the top, the expert. Check the top 5 people within your space. There is someone you associate with today in this country. Outside of this country, your career changes tomorrow. Do you believe that? That's branding. Instant. Instant. There are people you align with that gives you credibility. One of Donald Trump's right-hand men, Alan Wendy, I didn't want to throw up pictures here. The day I put up that picture, I think it's on my LinkedIn. Probably you can check my LinkedIn up. I got a call from Donald Trump's White House. I don't know who that guy is, but I saw him in the helicopter with Donald Trump, asking, how did you meet Alan? And then every other discussion takes care of itself. Branding is everything. Say it. Why branding is the most important? I do encourage every person, whether you are a student, whether you are just learning how to sell, whether you're just starting your business, whether you've got no idea, I'm giving you real tools that can take you from today. If you practice what I'm telling you right now, your business is going to skyrocket within 1 month. Your career will change. I know what I'm talking about. The most important, if you ever need to invest in anything, invest in your branding. Branding is power. Branding is credibility. Branding changes people's perception about you. Branding gives you influence and make people to trust you. If you are an entrepreneur, you will agree with me that people buy from people they know and they like and they trust. Why will anyone buy from you when they don't trust you? Why will anyone buy from you when they do not know you? So becoming an expert is simple when you put these 5 things to work, because branding automatically gives you power. Are you still here? But how do you brand? That will be the question someone will be asking me. One of the first steps is you have to think about what you're doing currently. How do I build influence? Influence is simple. It's all about leadership. It's all about adding value to people's life. It's all about how you impact people. For instance, branding can change your worth. I'm going to share with you some lessons, key things why you're not earning your worth. But hear this. Branding can automatically change your worth, your salary, your product, the price, everything. How? If you are a failure and you keep hanging around with people that fails, they're killing your brand. You can't be successful and be surrounded by unsuccessful people. It doesn't work. That reduces your value. There is this car, the Toyota and the Camry, Camry and the Lexus. They are produced from the same company, Toyota, but their prices are not the same. The Lexus take an additional amount. Why do you think someone, probably the same qualification, the same age as you, living the same like you, but he earns higher, he sells more than you? The difference is the brand packaging. It's the brand awareness. So when we talk about branding, there are about 3 layers or different areas of branding. First thing about branding is awareness. People need to know who you are. And now it's simple. If you are a business person, please take this down. If you will have to always explain, then you're not branded. That is why even the name you give to your business should be crystal clear. One just need to understand, listening, hearing you call your name, and it connects with what you do. So you see how you have damaged your business idea by even the name you give to your business. People destroy their business unknowingly. People destroy even the ideas with the name they call it. And no one can relate. So if you need to explain it, forget it. Because no one wants to identify with that. They want something they could easily connect with. And this is what branding does to you. If you don't have a brand awareness, you can have the best product, the best service, the best certificate qualification. If you were not known, nobody would do business with you. If you were not known, nobody buys from you. No one is going to hire you. So how do you take yourself into the space of being known? One of it, that's why you need a website if you are a business owner. That's why you need your own personal brand. If you are working somewhere, you need to go create your own social media. If you are here and you're not on LinkedIn, can I see your hand up? You don't have a LinkedIn. Anyone like that? You don't have. Okay, if you have a LinkedIn profile, can I see your hand up? A LinkedIn. Anyone? Just this number, less than 10%. Great. Now you see why some people are not the experts, but they just wish they were. I told you, becoming an expert needs discipline. So you need to be taken serious, madam, that in tourism, the one in sales, in mining. How? Go create a profile for yourself. Let people look at you and like, wow, who is this person? Your profile should speak volume better than even when someone gets to meet with you. Because you know why? When you are branded, everyone wants to do business with you. When you are branded, people bring their friend. When you are branded, everyone trusts you. And immediately, you turn your client to become your evangelist without even paying them. The more branded you are, the more people want to come to you. Everyone wants to associate with people that are successful. Is that true? Everyone wants to do things with people that are having the result. So the more successful you are, the more branded you are, the more successful you become. So branding is key to standing out and setting yourself apart from the rest, from your competition. Without a brand, it's almost impossible to succeed in today's business. Without you having a brand, it is nearly impossible, and that's just one of the steps. You need to identify where you are, the space that you are in. What are the people that I know succeeding? What do they do that I am not doing? You need to dig in and find out. Probably, how did they pitch? How did they sell their ideas? How did they get clients to say yes to them? What are the words that they do? Listen, it is not just about to know who they are, it is about paying attention to what they do and how they do it. It makes all the difference. So when you are able to identify the top 5 people, or maybe 10, depending on your industry space, who are the best in that field, then you begin to scroll and then find out this person is doing that I'm not doing. Maybe he wakes up earlier than you. Some of you wakes up maybe 6, 7. Probably your competition wakes up by 4 a.m. I'm not saying he wakes up that time. I'm saying you need to understand what this person is doing, you were not doing. Creativity. There will be time for questions. Just write it down. Creativity. The other thing is about how creative. Yes, we are offering the same services. We're offering the same products. But I noticed that my neighbor sells more than I sell. Why? Now, somehow it's all about packaging. Do you like this? Do you like this? Can someone get me something different from this? I wish I could. I wish I could. Now, it could be the packaging. It could be that the person decides to go an extra mile. It's just about when you say how you dress is how you are being addressed. And then you go in for an interview, you put on a jean or you just dress casually. And you want your interviewer to take you seriously. You're going to pitch for funding. And then you don't even know your numbers. You don't know your figures. You are being asked, how much do you need? Why do you need that amount? You can't even explain. So, it's all about being creative at what you do. That gives you an edge. So let's just say we are all the same. Let's just say we do the same thing. Probably you show up very early in the morning. That could be your advantage. If all of us offer the same services, maybe my packaging is so attractive. Probably I'm introducing some kind of add-on services. I don't encourage you to lower your price. I am not a fan of those who say lower your price. Don't lower your price. But what other service can you make up if your price is high? And you know one thing in sales is this. Some people think that it is because maybe my price is high. It is because I price or mine is higher. That's not the problem. The problem is you're not branded, you're not known, you don't have anything that differentiates you. So you are the same. But if you have, like I told you about 2 cars, the Camry, the Lexus, one company, Toyota. But when you go to a shop, you will see the Toyota there. It's the regular kind everyone drives. And then you see the Lexus parked separately, giving some kind of treatment. That edge, that little stands it out. So when you check the prices for a Lexus and that of the Camry, the prices are never the same. It's just about the little thing you do extra. And don't forget, business is what? Is a game. The money you make is the goals you score, whether you believe it or not. Business is a game. The more money you make, that is your scores. So if you want to go into the business place and play a barrel draw, it's up to you. But if you want to make more money, that is score more goals in the marketplace, you need to find a way to succeed. Now let's talk about being creative. Creativity is about vision. Creativity is about ideas. Creativity is about tasking your mind. Creativity is about motivation when things are not working. Creativity is about knowledge. Creativity is about innovation. How do I innovate? That's creativity, and that's how you stand out. And listen, please take this down. The way you change is the way you succeed. If it takes you 2 years to change, that's the same number of years it's going to take you to succeed. Now, I love a player. I see all of you. Can you please pay attention to me right now? I love this player in Manchester United. His name is Paul Pogba. How many of you know that guy? Are you shy? If you know him, can I see your hand up? Paul Pogba in 2011 was formerly a Manchester United player. You remember? But he wasn't doing well. And what happened? He got offloaded, sold out. 4 years down the line, Manchester United needed this same guy again. They sold him in 2011 for 1 million, paltry, 1 million pounds. Andy, you can relate with 1 million pounds, right? That's a lot of, maybe millions here or billions, something like that. Okay, now Paul Pogba in 2000 and I think a year ago or 2 years ago, he was bought back by the same club. So this young guy, I'm talking about how you can actually position yourself and become that expert that you need to be. 4 years later, Paul Pogba was being bought by the same club for 100 million pounds. Can you check the value difference between just 4 years? What happens? He decided to work on himself, decided to improve on himself, was being creative, did more than what he used to be. So most time I like to relate with him as an entrepreneur. He went back. That was a failure. 1 million, probably promised himself that I'm going to be much more better than I was the previous year. And 4 years only, he became, or he is worth over 1 million pounds. So what happened to you in your business when you fail? What happens to you when you get torn down? Your idea is not good enough. What happens when someone says, you're not there yet? As a matter of fact, for many years when I got into Cape Town, I was initially relatively unknown. And then I hear someone who told me, you're not good enough. Cape Town is predominantly dominated by white in my industry, the coaching speaking industry. And then I was told, you don't stand a chance. I said, wow, I don't stand a chance? Great, let's see. 4 years later, in fact, the very same person who have said you don't stand a chance is asking to do business with me. I host events. I brought in top speakers in the country, branding. He sees the kind of event that I do or where I get invited. The same person who said, you don't fit in here, asks me, how are you doing it? Prove people wrong with results. Don't answer them. You want to become an expert, don't worry where you are. We all started somewhere. We were once told you're not good enough. At some point, I did a program like you are attending right now. I was in a conference. I got trained. I went for coaching. I have a coach. You know why I did that? I did that because I want to be the number one. Zip Africa magazine, in their editorial column, they defined or called me the powerhouse of inspiration. That's in South Africa. The same country where I was told you don't have a chance. I've spoken on the same platform with ministers. Ministers, when I mean ministers in government. Sitting, I'm not talking about the past, so I don't live in the past glory. I'm talking about sharing platform with the who is who in the land. Talking about TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, all of that I have been featured on it. But I was once like you. I sat somewhere and someone did say, I don't think you've got anything to offer. So it's all in the mind. It's all how you decide to redesign, repackage, put up your offering out there, and what do you want the people to buy? It's all about how you throw it out there. Don't forget, it is not what you don't have that limits you. It is what you have. I hate to see people saying, I would have become an expert if I have money. I hate to see people say, I would have been doing very well if I have someone to help me. Your problem is not the people who is not helping you. Your problem is your mind. When there is a will, there is a way. As long as your mind says, 2 years from now, this is where I want to be. You set out yourself on a mission. So when I needed to be the top coach in where I am, I set a target. I knew who I needed to align with. I knew I needed a coach. Somehow, I needed that brand awareness. People obviously needed to know who I am. So I wrote a book. I've got 3 books. But beside that, there was a plan. There was a will. And then I was running. Where do you want to be an expert? Most of the time, I'll tell people, you don't need to be jack of many trades. You don't need to do literally everything. You need to be somewhere. Carve a niche. Carve a niche where you say, I'm going to be the best in this niche. That's when you identify who the experts are. Who are the key guys in this space? Who am I fighting against? Now, one mistake most entrepreneurs make is this. I know I don't have a competition. You have someone who brings you a business proposal, and then you are asking the person, who are your competition? The next thing you hear is, I don't think I have a competition. My idea is just completely new. That's a lie. No idea is new. Probably you're just learning it for the first time. There are competition. There are people doing the same exact thing you are doing out there. So you need to find out who is operating in that space. Who are the top guys? What are they doing? How do I match what they do? That's the secret to success. So you can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Do not make money your goal. Instead, pursue things you love doing. Oh, what happened? So you stop dreaming. You want to be an authority? Stop dreaming. Start doing. And that has to do with the speed of implementation. Speed of implementation. Speed of implementation. It's not just about what you know or what you think you know. It's about the speed of implementing. Once an idea comes to you, how long does that idea take before you turn that idea into a product or a service? Do you sit on your idea and refuse to act on it? That's why 95% are broke. That's why 95% are never successful. That's why 99% are exactly where they are this year, 5 years from now. That's where they will still be. Why? They do not take action. They want everything to just come to them. I want to be an expert. Yes, you don't read. You don't research. You sit on your TV, probably after work, you sleep on top of the TV. If I ask you, when was the last time you read a new book? Oh, can't remember. Most people, once they finish in their varsity or schools, that's the end of opening a book. So how do you become the authority? How do you become that go-to expert if you don't constantly change your mind and your perception about how you see things? Get these things, create social media, and these days, if you are a business owner, create your business page and have your own personal page. You can have your personal website, personal business website. Just try to distinguish between the two. Does that make sense? Finally, avoid this. Don't overlook the unwritten rules. Do not be inflexible. Never be afraid to try something new, because life is boring when you stay within your limits. I think my time is up, but take this last thing. If you stay in the same spot where you are, what I call sameness limits your creativity. Package your brand. If you don't sell, no one is going to sell you better. If you do not tell people who you are, no one is going to tell them how good you are. You know the human nature, we are all selfish. Thank you so much for your time. Did you learn something today?
Our next speaker trained as a professional buyer, was a top sales person in the UK, and he is now recognized as one of the world's top 20 sales gurus. He is here today to show us how everyone can stand out from your competition and sell more often. He's spoken at more than 2,000 events and personally trained over 100,000 salespeople in more than 4 countries since 2004, and has more testimonials than any sales expert globally. So please, loudest round of applause for our entire lives for sales expert Ann Preston. You're welcome.
So, welcome. My name is Andy Preston, and this is my first time in Tanzania. My first time in East Africa. I have been to Africa 42 times, and my first time here, so I am very welcome here. Thank you, my friends. So, on the introduction, you were asked for the loudest round of applause of your entire lives, and we got British politeness. And I'm not even in Britain anymore. So I'm going to give you a second opportunity for the loudest round of applause of your entire lives. Like you've just won the World Cup or something, okay? After I have counted to 3, are we ready? So we've just done 2 things there. Number 1, I have just won a bet with the organizer, because I said I will get the loudest round of applause of all the speakers this morning. So that'll be worth a beer to me later, so thank you very much. and secondly, who believes that second round was at least slightly louder and more enthusiastic than the first one? Who believes that's true? Hands right in the air. Good. Why? Say it was the same instructions. Right? Same words. The same instructions came from a different person, but it was the same instructions. So why was it louder the second time? You might say, I gave you a second opportunity, which is a good sales lesson, because sometimes if you ask the first time and they say no, maybe we need to ask more times or in different ways. You might say that as Oscar said this morning, perhaps I coach you, I encourage you, I bullied you, I forced you, I made you do it, whatever reason you had. In other words, I gave you a second opportunity. Is that true, guys? Yes or no? Yes. Here's the truth. You decided to perform better the second time. You decided, because I asked you, but you made a decision, I'm going to clap louder and more enthusiastically the second time. You made that decision. So here's my invitation to you this morning, is that I want this to be your opportunity to perform better in sales after my talk. So I'm going to give you some ideas some tips on how everybody in the room can sell more to more people at higher prices. Everything I say is practical, and I promise you can apply it in your industry, no matter who you are selling to, no matter what you are selling, and no matter where you are selling it. Is that cool with everybody, yes or no? Yes. Good, awesome. So I also have a gift for everybody, I promised. So the more interactive you are, the more you get involved, the better the gift that comes to you free at the end. Is that cool with everybody? Yes. I've also asked a question on my LinkedIn this morning about whether we should sing today. So I'm waiting for 23,000 people on LinkedIn to respond to me on whether we should sing, and maybe we'll do some singing later. I will talk about what that is in a moment. Okay. So let me get into the presentation. I want to be respectful of your time as well, because I know we're running a little late. So I promise I will give you everything I can in an hour, and then I'm going to send you things afterwards to help you implement what we've talked about, as well as having a discussion when I'm finished. And I will stay around for lunch and some of this afternoon so you can ask me questions. Is that good with everybody? Awesome. Happy days. So, how do we stand out and sell at higher prices? Or how come some people can do that and other people struggle? And their buyers are always trying to beat them down on price, get them to do it cheaper, get them to lower their price. How is it some people can sell at high prices and other people struggle? So the point is to think sales first and have a sales conversation. So we talk to them, find out what they need now, find out what else they might need, and then we can get, in this case, 400 times more business. Just by thinking like a salesperson and acting like a salesperson. So who's in sales in the room? Who's a salesperson? Let's see, hands right in the air. Awesome. And then who runs a business or is a manager that has salespeople? Great. And who's just not want to put the hand up no matter what question I ask? Good. Okay, we've got you at the back as well. Welcome. Those are the awkward people. So if we're a salesperson, the question is, are we a standard salesperson or are we a standout salesperson? Are we a standard salesperson or are we a standout salesperson? Because the standout salesperson does things differently. Standout salesperson does things a little bit differently. They think sales first, not service first, or operation first. They do a number of things differently in the sales process that gets them completely different rewards. So from my background, I originally started in business as a professional buyer. It was my job to beat up salespeople for a living. It was great fun. And what I found in that job is what most salespeople do wrongly in the sales process that cost them appointments, cost them meetings with people, and cost them business, profit, and commission. Because they get things wrong in the process. I then took a job in sales. And my job was in one of the most commodity industries in the world, printing and office supplies. So, all from the same catalog. The only difference between me and my 150 other competitors would I had my company name and phone number on the front of the catalog, and they had their company name and phone number on the front of the catalog. Okay, now we have a picture on, that's the first thing. Working, I'll be your best friend forever, thank you. So there was no difference, same products, same service, same quality. If you open the catalogue on page 74, item A was exactly the same for all of us. Does anybody think it's a really stupid idea to work in this company? Yes. Here, everything was exactly the same apart from the price. Because I worked for a franchise organization, we had to pay 15% on all our fees, all our sales, to head office as a commission. So I had to charge 15% more than everyone else for selling the same thing. So I've sold the same thing as everyone else, same service, same quality, but 15% more expensive. Does anybody want to volunteer for that job in the room? No. Wow, okay. So here's what that job taught me. It was very difficult, it was very hard, but it taught me that could I beat anyone else on service, yes or no? No, because it was the same service. We all gave same-day delivery. I couldn't be better. Could I give better quality than everyone else? No, because it was the same products. Could I give better delivery than anyone else? No. Could I give better prices? Definitely not. So who had to be better than the competition to even have a chance of being able to sell? Me. And here's the next point for those of you who are making notes. The difference in a commodity industry, the difference in the commodity industry between who somebody buys off when everything else is the same is you. Buyers now have more choice than ever before. So they can go on the internet and find 5 companies, 10 companies, 20 companies who do what you do. Buyers have more control now than ever. But it is down to you to be better than your competition if you want to win. So, I'm not saying that that thinking alone, on its own, got me to the top salesperson in the UK, but it started a process of me using certain things, using certain steps, taking certain ideas, and putting that into practice that got me to the top salesperson in the UK. Is that making sense? Cool. My friend, are you filming this? Can you kill it? I'm sending you some stuff afterwards that'll be instead of. Yeah, cool, thank you. I don't want some of the mistakes on video. Thanks, Bella. So I'll send you all the stuff after. Okay. So your biggest challenge in the next few years is dealing with what I call the educated buyer. This is the biggest challenge for salespeople in the next 10 years or more, is dealing with the educated buyer. You see, the salesperson's job 20 years ago was to educate the customer. You go and see the customer. You tell them all about your product or service, the features, advantages, and benefits. You'd ring them up. You'd send them things that told them about how great your product or service was and why it was better than the competition and why they should buy yours, right? That was a salesperson's job. You got to meet them really early. They were nice and friendly to you because they needed you. They needed you to get your information. I needed you to get your information. I needed you to get your information. Then I was educated by you, and I could make my decision. That's what we used to do 20 years ago. Is that what we're doing with buying something now, guys? Yes or no? No. Do we still get our education from the salesperson? Yes or no? No. Where do we get our education now? Google and the internet. So the buyer comes to you already educated. Where's my friend who was doing African trips I was talking to before? Over here. Are people looking at trips on the internet before they talk to you? Yes. So they're researching already, and they're coming to you sometimes most of the way through the sales process and saying, here is what I need, here is my specification, here's the trip I'm looking for, here's the printing I'm looking for, here's what I need, give me your best price. And then I'm going to you and saying, here's what I need, give me your best price. And then I'm going to you and saying, here is what I need, give me your best price. Now I'm making my decision based on who is cheapest. Because I don't need to know who is best, because I've asked you, this is what I want. I don't need to know who's best, I need to know who is cheapest. So unless you can change something, they're going to buy on cheapest price. Unless you change something in the process, unless you become a standout salesperson, they are going to buy on cheapest price. So therefore, going to customers and trying to educate them and tell them all about your product or service will no longer work, because they don't need you for education. They just want to get the cheapest price, unless you change something. So let's look at how we change that. First thing we need to do is change how we speak to people and how we communicate. Because most of the time, you are focused on capability. Big mistake. This is how we can look after you. This is the tour we can do for you. This is the recruitment we can do for you. This is the printing we can do for you. I'm showing that we're capable of giving you what you need. I already know you're capable because I've checked you out. I don't need to know you're capable, otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you. I'm assuming you're capable of giving me what you need if you've given me. I've taken that for granted. So do not focus on capability, focus on credibility. Tell me why you're the best person for me to buy from. Tell me why you're the best company. Show me, demonstrate, prove to me that you're my provider of choice. You're my favorite supplier. Don't just tell me you can do it. Show me and prove to me why I should choose you. And if you're a higher price, tell me why I should pay more to go with you than the other people that I'm talking to. Prove to me that you're worth it. Otherwise, I won't buy a higher price. There's a question here. Yeah. So the question was, it's not clear to me how I demonstrate credibility. I'm going to do that now. Thank you for the question. So, first thing you need to do is look at your presence online. Because if I'm going to look at you first, you need to pass the credibility test. So first thing is, what are your online profiles like as an individual? So most of the time, who in here is selling their business services to other businesses? Printing, recruitment, IT, that kind of stuff. And who is selling to individuals, to consumers? Okay. So you need to think where your buyers live online. If you're selling business to business, that'll be LinkedIn. If you're selling business to individuals or consumers, that might be Facebook, it might be Instagram. It's about which social platforms they are on. So in other words, now they're not just looking at your company and how capable your company is, they're checking out your credibility as an individual. If you listen to Oscar's presentation where he talked about positioning yourself as an expert, if you tell me you're an expert at showing high net worth individuals and people how to have great trips around Africa, I need to see that online. Because if you tell me that, and that's not what I see, now I don't believe you. Oscar said before, people buy off people or they buy into people they know, like, and trust. If you tell me you're an expert, but I don't see that online, do I trust you? Do I like you? Probably not. Am I going to buy off you? No. Am I failed the like and the trust and the buy pieces, which are the most important bits? So what does your online profile say about you? If I'm talking to your competition, what is your online profile like compared to your competitors? So your website versus their website, your LinkedIn profile versus their LinkedIn profile, your Instagram versus their Instagram, if that's appropriate for you. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, as of this morning, there were over 330 testimonials and recommendations from people that have bought from me in the past and got great results from sales. So that's people like IBM, who said I was one of the best trainers and speakers you'll ever find. Plenty of big companies I've worked with have got huge results. You can see that if you check me out online. I know some of you here, Oscar included, watched some of my videos and talked to me about them this morning already. So it's what do we see about you online? How do you compare with your competition? If you want to charge more than your competitors, do you look better when I research you? What is your credibility compared to your price? Are you better than your competition? If you want to charge more, you need to show me that. So first thing is, what is your online profile like? Second thing is, how are you using testimonials and recommendations in the sales process? Most people get this wrong, by the way. Most people show testimonials and recommendations far too late in the process. They show them at the end, in the presentation, in the proposal, in the documents that go right at the end. If you're trying to build credibility and show them you're better than the others, you want to start showing testimonials at the beginning. I want to see testimonials and recommendations online about you. When you send me initial details in response to my inquiry, send me testimonials. Prove to me how good you are. Other people saying how good you are is 100 times better than you saying, I'm an expert in this, and we do this, and we've done this. Build credibility from the beginning. It's a testimony from Vodafone, which is one of the largest telecoms companies in the UK. It said, Andy Preston increased my cold calling success by 100%. Another one here from Rackspace, the largest hosting provider in the world. Andy Preston helped me close an opportunity worth over £500,000. That's having big impact with a little bit of work. Now, if you're an IT company and you see that testimonial when you're looking for somebody to come in and help your sales team, I'm positioned far better than other people because I'm demonstrating credibility, not just showing, oh yes, I can do some training for you. Yes, I can do this is capability. Here's why I'm the best choice is credibility. Is that making sense now, my friend? Awesome. So, use testimonials early in your sales process. Next point is urgency. How quickly you respond to sales opportunities is vital. So when somebody inquires with you, you need to get back to them straight away. Not the next day, not a week later because you were busy, straight away. Speed, urgency impresses people. They think, oh, you must be good because you've been really quick. There's no link between how good you are and how quick you are. Maybe you've got nothing else on and you've got no business because you're not very good, but you've got back to them quickly. But you've still got the best chance of understanding that opportunity. If I've gone out to 10 people and you're the 7th person who rings me back, am I really interested in answering your questions after I've spoke to 6 others already? No. No. So you lose the opportunity to have that sales conversation because you weren't fast enough. Absolutely. So how fast you are to respond. How well you can put urgency into the sales process. How well you can put urgency into the sales process. So one of my favorite sales philosophers here, one of the leading lights I base a lot of my sales stuff on, is this guy. Will Ferrell. And this clip is from, or this picture is from a movie called Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, which is a NASCAR US racing film. And his phrase in the film is, if you ain't first, you're last. That's a really good phrase for you to remember, because unless you're first to respond to people, you might as well, because you're just going to be one of the others. You become a standard salesperson, an ordinary salesperson, instead of the standout salesperson that picks up all the business at the higher price. How quickly do you respond? The next point for your notes is think about becoming more familiar to people who want to buy from you. So familiarity. How do you become more familiar? How do you get more people to know about you? How can you become more familiar to your target market? Because as I said before, the problem is people spend money on search engine optimization, they spend money on advertising, they spend money on getting people to contact them when they're ready to buy. Now that seems like a good idea, but I think that's a really bad idea. Because when I'm ready to buy my African safari, I'm going to go to 10 providers and get prices. Is that the sort of inquiry that you want? No. I'd rather somebody come to me and say, I've heard you're really good. Can you give me an idea of what sort of safari experience I should have? Now it's not about price, it's about what you can do for me. Does that make sense? So here's the next tip. Stand out salespeople who stand out from the competition, get to people before they are ready to buy. And demonstrate to them their credibility, show them they're the best, so when they are ready to buy, they come to them and are willing to pay the price that you want to charge, not the price that they're trying to beat you down to. So if you become familiar to your target market before they're ready to buy, they come to you wanting to buy from you and willing to pay more. That's a good place to be in. Especially when you combine that with customer experience. So my next question is, are you missing opportunities? I think as salespeople, we need to be professional opportunity spotters. So I got into photography a few years ago, and I was talking to the guys about football before. I'm a big rugby fan, and my team in the UK is Sale Sharks in Manchester. If any of you watch rugby, Faf de Klerk, who used to play in South Africa, who played for the Springboks against England, he plays now for us, so we have some Africans in our team. And I was to the media guy, because one of my hobbies is photography. And I was talking to the media guy at Sale Sharks, and I said, one of the things that I don't understand is, when I see your match reports and programs, when you have the pictures of the away games and your players, they're from an image library. So you're buying your pictures from a professional image library, but they're your own team. They're your players. I don't understand why you're paying library for your own pictures. And he said to me, well, Andy, we don't employ a photographer to go to the away games. We're playing all over England. So we rely on a local photographer to go, who we pay their expenses. They sell their pictures to this online image library, and we then have to buy the pictures, and we pay per picture to buy our own pictures back from this image library. I'm like, that makes no sense. You're spending hundreds of dollars per picture of your own team. It's bizarre. So I said, here's what we do. When I'm home, you've seen some of my pictures already. You know I'm a good photographer. Why don't I go to the away games? You pay me one fee, and you can have all the pictures that I take copyright free. He said, that's a really good idea, not knowing that he was now paying me to go and watch rugby for free, which I thought was brilliant, and travel with the team. So 4 years ago last week, this was my first game as a professional photographer for Sale Sharks versus Harlequins in the Aviva Premiership, as you see with the silly yellow jacket that I've got on. So that was my first game. And then I started taking pictures more regularly. I was asked to do a West End theatre production, a 7 Drunken Nights, a story of the Dubliners, a big Irish band. I then got to do England versus South Africa. And this was in George, near Cape Town. A friend of mine actually used to play at Sale Sharks, Tommy Taylor. He played for England that day, and I was the official photographer for the international game. So now I'm getting paid to go to Cape Town, which those of you who know me know is my favourite city in the world, to take photographs for England rugby. Then my favourite band, Counting Crows, American band, come to tour the UK. And some of the guys, knowing I've been to a lot of their gigs, asked me, would I take some photos of them on the UK tour? So I'm travelling to gigs with my favourite band to be paid to take pictures of them. How cool is that? All because I spotted the original opportunity with Sale Sharks. And the next opportunity happened because that one did. And the next opportunity happened because that one did. And the next opportunity happened because that one did. None of that would have ever happened if I hadn't spotted the opportunity with Sale Sharks in the first place. Does that make sense to everyone? You never know when you win that first opportunity, when you win that first order of the business card, how much more printing that you could get because you won the first order rather than it going to someone else. It's really important that we're as sharp as possible, we're as good as possible in the sales process and win the first order off people, because you never know where the rest of the business is going to go. Okay, a couple of quick stories to finish. What is your sales influence level? How influential are you? So Oscar talked this morning about being an expert and expertise. This is about your ability to influence other people in your own life as well as a professional life and a business life. See, one of the challenges, as Oscar said, about being an expert is, what happens if you want to be an expert, but people don't see you as an expert? See, here's the problem. If they don't see you as an expert, they won't take your advice and expertise on board. Does that make sense? And here's how you can tell. You say to somebody, oh, well, if you're looking for that African safari, I would do this, this, and this. And they go, okay, let me think about it. Which means they don't respect you as an authority. They don't see you as an expert. They've not taken your advice or influence on board. They're going to check themselves because they know better than you. Does that make sense? So there's a particular brand, and I know that they're certainly in Zanzibar. I don't know if they're here. I'm not going to mention the brand, but they're an African brand now owned by Marriott, and their welcome gift is an apple. Ask me afterwards and I'll tell you who the hotel chain is. And they make such a thing about giving you an apple when they check in, they actually put a special kind of brass ring on display in your room with the apple on it. And before the recession, they used to give you an apple per day when you stayed. Now, they've had a few cutbacks with the recession. They give you 1 apple per stay. So if you stay for 2 weeks, you get 1 apple. Okay, do I look like I eat many apples? No, not my choice of food. So it's either a bottle of water or an apple. When I stay at the Park Inn in Cape Town, they give me miniature bottles of Clipdrift and Coke. Does that make me feel special, guys? Yes or no? Is that individual and personal to me? Yes or no? Did it cost them much to do? No. Was it that difficult to do? No. But it has a massive impact. How many people have I talked about to the Park Inn Foreshore in Cape Town? How many times have I mentioned in my speech? How many people have heard about them because of me? About 15. It's like I'm their business development department outsourced. Better business development for them than their own business development people because of how they treat me. People go there, they stay there on my recommendation. They go and have a drink with the guys in the bar. When I stayed there for my birthday last year, they did something special. I got a handwritten card from the general manager, a happy birthday cake, and a bottle of Clipdrift Premium. They know me very well because the bottle is much bigger than the size of the birthday cake. That's definitely the right way around. So they know me out well. Now, again, did that take that much to do? No. Very easy. I actually stayed before I came here. I was in Cape Town. It was actually my 35th stay with the Park Inn. And I didn't get time to get a picture of them. They actually printed me some business cards with my details I've got off LinkedIn, with my phone number and the email address they've got at the hotel. And on the back is the Park Inn logo. It says, my home in Cape Town, and the Park Inn address. Because when I check in, they go, welcome home, Mr. Preston. And we joke that I stay there more than I do in my own bed in Manchester, which is probably true. So they've actually gone and got some business cards printed for me just because it was my 35th stay. Does that make me feel special, yes or no? Will I tell even more people about them? Will he get some, some welcome love on social media just for going out of the way to do something special? Yes, doesn't cost very much, doesn't take much effort, has a massive impact. Because as I said before, in a commodity industry, when there's lots of people who do what you do, you win business by standing out, by being the standout person. The difference needs to be you. You need to be better than your competitor salespeople. You need to be more determined, more hungry, more focused, and dedicate yourself to continuous education. So as I mentioned before, I've not got anything to sell you today, me whatsoever, because I'm a good salesperson, so I generally would make you buy anyway. But what I wanted to do was give you the free gift. So if you go to the address at the top of the page, andypreston.com/sales-academy, that's where you can get your login to the new Sales Academy. There'll be 200 videos in there already. There's more every week. That is my gift to you as the welcome for my first time in East Africa and my first time in Tanzania. So please make sure you give me a business card, you get that address down, and the how-to of what I've talked about today and how you accomplish being an expert, how you accomplish being a standout person, how you get those results for you, free as my gift and from the organizers of the conference. So I hope you've got great value from my speech. Along and making an Englishman very welcome in Tanzania. Great to be with you guys. I hope to see you again. I'll be around after lunch for questions. Thank you very much.
So may you help me to welcome Mr. Anton Van for the session.
Okay, thank you. As the IT guy is setting up the thing, very quickly. So my name is Anton Vanda, and I'm so honored to be here, to have a lovely smile in the room. Because they say 80% of your success is coming from showing up. The moment you show up in the area, then 80% of your success has been already taken care of. So here we are making 80% of the whole full. And therefore, can you... Yeah? Now, my topic is social selling and why buying is changing. Sorry for the technical error. I see it has gone across. Maybe they can adjust it, but I can read it for you. Why social selling? I mean, social selling is here, and why buying is changing. First of all, can I know from you, the raising of the hands, how many people believe that our buying experience is changing now? Okay, how our buying experience is changing. How many people don't agree with that our buying experience is not changing? Does it change or does not? It does, yes, and I'll tell you why very shortly. So, we are living in the world where changes is happening like never before. It's like going into the fast track of changing. And one of the philosophers, he said, the illiterate of 21st century is not about knowing how to read and write. Not to know, rather, how to read and write. That was back then, enzi ya Mwalimu Nyerere, whereby we were struggling kuandika na kusoma. Now it's gone. The illiterates of 21st century will be the lack of ability to learn new things, to unlearn what is outdated, and then learn what is coming in the market. Okay? So the illiterate of 21st century is not about reading or write. Everybody can read now. Everyone can write now. But the challenge now that we are facing on 21st century is for the ability to learn new skills. Why? Because things are changing so fast. 20 years ago, telling me I would purchase everything through my phone was an obsolete, it was a kind of unthinkable idea. Joined my university, my professor in development studies, he told me, he was sharing his ideas or his experience in the United States, the way they were paying all the bills online. And in that class, we were laughing, say, oh, this professor, he was Muhaya, by the way, say, they were hire people, but they will love to exaggerate things. But 15 years down the line, and currently now, it is a very vital that you can always pay all the bills online. Do you know, sir, right now here, you can withdraw money from the bank and you can transfer and pay the vendors while you're here. 20 years ago in Tanzania, that was impossible, unthinkable. So things are changing very fast, and every day things are changing. And the rate of changing is getting better and every day. You see, so... Okay, now, Charles Darwin, once again, he said, it is not the strongest species that will survive, but the one which is most responsive to the change. How are you able to adapt to the change? We have seen big stories of big companies like Nokia, Kodak, the way they vanished to the market, losing their margin markets, simply by not being able to adapt to the changes. So changes can crush you. Actually, they can work for you, but also they can crush you out of the market. And it is very unforgiving, actually, when these things happening. Because Kodak, as you all know the story, what happened to them when the digital kind of technology was introduced to the market in terms of digital photos, they ignored. They could not comprehend what could happen. But see where Kodak now is. Nokia, some point of time, had a lot of big share in terms of mobiles and stuff like that, the technicalities of the technology that he had. But see where Nokia today is. Samsung kind of attacking it. Apple is taking the place. So always, it doesn't matter how big you are. Some of you are decision makers of the big corporations here in Tanzania or probably some other places in the world. You are responsible to see on how you can quickly adopt the changes. If you're still conservative, the chances are you'll be out of the market soon. Why? Because the world is keep on evolving and keep on changing. But the challenge here that we have in 21st century, the world is changing so fast. And always the big people or big companies are delayed in adopting the strategy. And I'll tell you why very shortly. So this theory was discussed back in 17th century, but is still valid till today. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in it. Now, this defeats the whole meaning of click, isn't it? That you need to stay in one place. You know, the meaning of this is that you are free to move around, but because of that, then you see, now the old ways do not work anymore. There's an old way of doing things, especially when it comes to sales. Now, when we want to improve our sales, when we want to improve our margins, there must be a way that we do things in a different way. And this time, in a new format. Why? Because insanity, again, is doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So there must be a different way of doing things. And that's why maybe your organization has been able to pay for you to be here so that you can learn. So what is a new way? How can we find the new way? Is there a new way? Of course it is. Now, Peter Drucker, one of the philosophers in business management, he described this era as the era of 3 C's. Can someone mention that quickly? What are the famous C's that we are facing? Yes. Sorry? Choices. No. Don't feel bad. I could say, okay. Could be one of them. You never know. Character. Obedience. A convenience. Okay. Okay. Yes. Communication. Yes. Creativity. Changes. You see, you are all right. You're all right, sir. According to you. Okay. But today, yes, that could be one of the errors. But according to Peter Drucker, these are the 3 C's. One is accelerated change. Accelerated change. The change, you see, back in the days, the changes were taking place, these major inventions, they were taking place after every 50 years. So, 50 years, okay, we have the invention of the bulb. This is the biggest invention in the world. People are celebrating. Yes, now we have the bulb. Look, we can walk during the night. Fantastic. You stay for 50 years, then invention of a radio. Yeah, now we can listen to a person from Uganda right here to Tanzania. After 50 years, the invention of telephone. But you see, in the 21st century, my friend, things have been accelerated. That's why the moment Samsung released S6, after 3 months, S7 is there. Probably hata hujageuka to look for to exchange the line or to update you the whole thing, the new phone has come. And they change it so badly to the extent that they create curiosity for you to buy another phone. And the way Tanzanians will love to pimp ourselves with the updated technology, you find that you have 3 phones in the period of 1 year. Because technology is changing every day. You download the app today, you say, this is the best app ever. But you see, in the next 2 weeks, they are telling you, we have new updates. So please go to the Play Store and update the app. You said, but But I thought it is perfect. They say no. The moment that we invented it, it was not as perfect as we were thinking. So we have the new updates. Competition is everywhere. When Uber invented the app and the business idea, thought that, yeah, we are killing it. We are the Uber. Few months down the line, Taxfire come. Taxfire thinks that he has killed everything. Now moving in is here. The moment that you think that you are dominating the market, distractions are everywhere. Everywhere. You have invested a lot of time, a lot of resources in terms of money and other resources, but distractions are everywhere. Competition is there. So this is the era that we are living in. You see, companies like Kodak, they dominated the market for quite some time, and they thought that they are alone. But because of the accelerated change in 21st century, with the overwhelming complexity of the issues and the tremendous competition that arose, Kodak moved out of the market just in a twinkle of an eye. So you as a salesperson, you as a person who make decision on behalf of the company, on behalf of the government, how are you being able to position yourself to accommodate all these things? Because it's not, again, the survival of the fittest. It's the survival of the person who can quickly adopt to all the changes which is happening. Otherwise, just quit, go home, cry, and call your mother that things are very tough in the market. Let's take the case study in Tanzania. We have so many drastic changes which are happening right now. Let's talk about economy. Everyone in Tanzania is complaining right now. There's a famous saying, of which now if you mention it, you're obligated to go to the government agency and explain by giving statistics that vyuma vimekaza. Okay, you are saying vyuma vimekaza, please give us statistics. No research, no right to speak. So people are complaining everywhere that the economy is on troublesome. But okay, we have the biggest debate on that, whether the economy is growing or is going down. But for me, what I'm trying to say, there's a shift in the economic arena, especially here in Tanzania. There's a shift. Now business is not done as usual. You just go to the office, you sign the register, and then you continue with your business. Now the head of the government says, this is not a right. We need to reinvent the way we do our things. We need to change. Now that has changed so many things in the market. It has even affected our spending behavior. So people were buying things they don't need, even they don't want. They were just spending. It was very easy for the salespeople. You make a presentation, hey sir, you know, we have this product in our bank or in our company. People were buying it. But not now, my friend. You bring the proposition of your product, people, they have to question, should I buy or not? So that is a change in our country right now. And most companies are dying, natural death. Why? Because they've sticked to the old ways of doing things. Hello? Now, things have changed, and then you want to operate the same way. My friend, that company, it will die a natural death. You'll be out of the market. You need to change the strategy. It's like in the field of the football. If they've changed, you know, during halftime, and I'm not a fan of football, but because of the World Cup, sensation is so high, I'm also trying to lean into football and try to know what's going on. I've come to discover that after the break, halftime, one of the very tremendous change that you can notice is when they change sides. Do they do so, Andy? They change sides, isn't it? So if the sides have been changed, and that does not register to you as a striker, you continue hitting the previous side, what's going to happen? Huh? You fail. Sorry? You lose value. You say, hey, we are not going this side now. We are going the other direction. So the same happened to this country. Because there is a change in terms of economy, the way we do our business, we as salespeople must change. If we stick to the previous mode of doing things, we'll be lagging behind all the time. According to the statistics, the demographic of our country, more than 50% of the total population is made up of young people. Now, they might not have money to spend, but guess what? In Tanzania, we have our own definition of young people. Even the income earners between the age of 35 to 55, they call themselves young people. So be careful there. They have the purchasing power. Now, this is the biggest purchasing power. Here is a mixed feelings, actually. Whether the old people are the one with the biggest purchasing power or the young people. But what I'm trying to say, if this is the population, you as a company, how do you enjoy this kind of percentage here? Okay, so we as a company, or you as a salesperson, you must see on how now you can position on this trend and how you can make sell. Because that's where the traffic is. Hello? They say location, when it comes to business, especially retail business, location is everything. Is that not so? Yes, it's big time. If I'm opening the shop, if I'm opening a shop here, nobody is passing frequently, and the person is opening the shop at bus stand, the person at the bus stand is more likely to make more sales than you at the corner. So if that's where the traffic is, how do you position yourself to that traffic? And that's the most thing that most of the corporate companies, they miss. And some religious people. I'm one of them, but I'm kind of moderate or modern. By the showing of the hands, how many of you are on the social media? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. Okay, how many of you, by the showing of the hands, how many of you are not on the social media? Be honest. No, we're not going to judge you. Okay, only 2 hands. How many of you just posted this morning? Mikono imepungua, si ndio? You see, the point here is not having a social media account. The point here, there are 2 points actually to discuss. One, how frequently are you going back to the social media? And actually to do what? Secondly, what is the content that you're posting on the social media? Because this one is the future of the business right here. We have multimillionaires who are making more business online like never before. This is the moment for us to make more sales. But the problem is we are still using the old way of doing things. And that's why we're losing it. If the trend is on the social media, how can you miss? Now, some people say, social media, ni upumbavu tu, people are just going around, nani na nini. Don't talk about social media. So, 95% of my business is coming from social media. This is the media of today. The millennials who are here, 95% they don't listen to the news. Why? Because news is there. Let me tell you, back in the days, you young people ask the old people, they will tell you, the breaking news on the TV, or taarifa ya habari, the news was the real news. Ajali imetokea Songea, you have to wait until in the evening to get the news. So the news was real news, but nowadays, everybody is a journalist. Everyone is a journalist. The moment thing has happened, you just Snapchat it and you put it on Instagram, everywhere, social media, everywhere. That's where the news is. And so, how can you position yourself into the social media? That is the thing that I'm trying to insert this idea this afternoon. So make sure you position yourself. I urge you, if you have not opened an account in any of the social media, please do. But also don't remain dormant, because as my friend said early in the morning, the first thing when you mention your name people gonna Google you. And I believe some of you have already Googled me. You see? Who is this gentleman who is talking in front of me? But see, one of my websites is down because of the IT people. It's called TonyInspirationalTalk.com. I think it had more corporate kind of information. But see, 95% of my leads are coming from social media. And actually right now, YouTube is paying me for posting content on the social media. So the more I upload videos, trainings, inspirations, the more Google is appreciating and paying me. Now, that it will tell you something, that business is shifting. Okay? So I want to argue all of us to see and to reconsider how we can be on social media. But also, social media is not about just posting anything. It's about you being professional, but not be extremely professional. Hello? This is called social. That's the first word. It's not just the media. It is social. But you being a corporate person, don't go over social. You know, see, if you have to promote your business on Facebook, it will ask you what kind of people that you want to reach. What age? What geographical location? It's a very specific targeting group. And for some of you, if you go back to the artificial intelligence that Google now is using, if you search a certain information, I remember the other time I searched an hotel for South Africa, in Kenton, in Senton actually. I wanted it to go for my vacation in December. So I was searching for certain hotels, specifically for Senton. And they brought the hotels. I had to check for the bookings and everything, the pricing and everything, and the availability. But what I came to realize, few days from there, all these hotels in Johannesburg, they were popping, coming to me, suggesting, say, previously I never saw these ads. What is happening now? So even the artificial intelligence is so intelligent to suggest what you write, what you want. So with the social selling, you can be able to find the right prospect, but also build trusted relationships, and which is very important, and ultimately achieve your sales goals. But not only that, it enables you to have a better sales lead, and also the whole sales prospecting becomes so easy. Okay? And therefore, you can eliminate that element of cold calling. Why? Because the moment you spoke or you speak, you see, even now, if I call you, you don't have my number, and you have downloaded Truecaller, it will tell me who you are before even you tell me who you are. That's where the whole thing is moving. And LinkedIn did a study, it was their internal study actually, that there is a very strong relationship between you achieving your sales goals or your sales targets and sales rep. And actually they found that 45% is more likely to be found on social media rather than in the empty mass. But also you have access of 50% more likely to hit the quota kuliko mtu ambaye atumia social media. So for the person who is utilizing social media well, in terms of business, in terms of how to push sales, he's most likely to hit the quota rather than you sitting at the office making cold calls. It is happening. So you better work up. And numbers don't lie. But also, they found that 70-80% of the social seller, they outsell those who are not on the social media. So you want to think about it. It's happening now. Don't ignore it. If you're a religious person, they say internet is the work of the devil, and therefore keep away from it. So, but again, you need to rethink. Now, because my time is up, we're supposed to discuss about social selling strategy, but I think that will be covered tomorrow when we have another session. Let's quickly wrap up. I've been also asked to talk about enterprise selling. Now, enterprise selling is when, here in Tanzania, there's a challenge. Our salespeople, they keep on making small numbers, and the MDs and the line managers, they complain. Tumezoea kufunga dili ndogo sana, dili kubwa tunawachia watu wengine. So there's a problem when we are going for huge number of sales. Let's say 500 million deal, 1 billion deal. Most of the sales people in Tanzania, they just hit the smallest number. So if you raise their quota, telling them your liability, now this is the language of the bank. How many people working with the bank here? The banking industry? Yes. So if they say your liability targets is going to be 500 million, you're like, whoa, chief, don't you know the economy of this country now? People don't have money to put in the bank. That's where it goes. But if they tell you, just bring 100 million, you say, angalau hapo tunaweza tukaelewana. There's a big problem, there's a big challenge. But you see, the more numbers of sales being brought to the company, the more money the company makes, and the chances are they're also going to bring back to you, or it will be reflected in terms of your income. So there's a biggest challenge on how we can truly enhance the enterprise selling. But you see, it starts with who you are. Who you are. It is going back to you. What is your physiology? What is your physiology in terms of your mindset? That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? What is your attitude? You see, if you don't see yourself outperform or bring that idea of 500 million, closing that deal, if you don't see yourself being able to close that deal, it will never happen. It will never happen. And if it happens, you're going to lose it. I'll give you an example. If I'm called for a meeting, or let's say I call, you're Mr. Kenneth. Now, if I call Kenneth, let's say Kenneth is working with a Vodacom, let's say. Okay, and I'm looking for the deposits. I'm a banker. I'm looking for the deposit from Vodacom. And we are talking about, let's say, 1 billion. That's the target that I'm looking for in terms of maybe fixed deposit and something like that. I call Kenneth. He's a sales manager, or he's an accountant who is making decision for where the deposits should go. If I call Kenneth and I say, Kenneth, I'm asking the appointment with you tomorrow around 11 a.m. to discuss the deal. Kenneth says yes. He has allowed to see me. During the conversation, remember, the target is 1 billion, but I, as a salesperson, I don't believe if Kenneth can allow that 1 billion deal to come to our bank. If Kenneth says yes, first I'll be shocked, isn't it? So, I don't believe it. He just said yes, and now we are going to deposit the whole thing. But because of my belief, if I go back, it will not be a surprise if later on Kenneth says, you know what, Tony, we have just canceled that deal. I think we have just found out that your bank is very expensive. You are giving very limited interest rate, and we have gone to another bank. Has it ever happened to you? A person says yes and then he says no? It has? It is something to do with your belief. Now, I've done a good study on the law of attraction, and I know how it works. Some people say it doesn't work, it's a crap, but no, it works big time. It's just a science that we have never put into our actions. But the attitude is very important, because the lion in the jungle, is he the king or the slave? He's the king. He is renamed as the king of the jungle. But guess what? Lion is not the biggest animal in the jungle. Lion is not the fattest animal in the jungle. It's not the tallest. We have the giraffe, very tall. The laziest. Anavizia badala kufukuzia. But you see, he's named the king of the jungle. So when he wakes up in the morning, When he walks, actually, all animals, they see him as the king, as the eater. And they position themselves as the eaten ones. When you wake up in the morning, are you seeing yourself making more prospects and making more sales, or losing more in the market? That thing, ladies and gentlemen, affects us and without us knowing. We'll be sharing it tomorrow morning because time is up. Thank you so much. My name is Anthony.
The next speaker, and this is his biography, and this is Richard Mulvey. Richard Mulvey is one of the South African reading speakers, and over the last 24 years has inspired more than 200,000 business people throughout the 3 continents. Richard's corporate life includes rise in the ranks to sales director for an international company in the service industry. After spending a couple of years traveling the world, Richard was enticed back to corporate life before setting up his own. In addition to successful corporate career, Richard has also worked for the Queen in Buckingham Palace, written marketed a multi-restaurant accounting package called Trade In, traveled all overland from London to South Africa and back again, and recently climbed Kilimanjaro to raise for Reach for a Dream. Richard is an author of 19 motivational business books and 55 training DVDs. He is a past president of the Professional Speaker Association of South Africa, 2008 up to 2009, and 2016 up to 2017, and a member of Global Speakers Federation. In 2015, Richard was inducted into the South African Speakers Hall of Fame, and this year was awarded the Founders Award, the highest award for a speaker in South Africa. Please help me to welcome Richard Mulvey. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we feeling? You're good. Have you read the book yet? Not yet. Okay, fine. Read it later. This afternoon, we're going to talk about selling skills. I'm a salesman. I work with salespeople 4 days out of 5. I'm with another group of salespeople somewhere. And we're going to be talking about selling today. I'm going to change the mood just a little bit. I love to hear Oscar. I always like Oscar's great speaker. I've heard him a few times now. And it was Oscar who encouraged me to come here. Thank you, Oscar, today. So we have Oscar to thank for that. Andy, of course, great speaker. Been in the business a long, long time. I can be rude about him because he's not in the room. Still not in the room. Good. And then Tony, of course. Some interesting stuff. We've listened a lot about social media and the power of social media. We've listened a lot about techniques in selling, and all of those things are important, but let's not forget that selling hasn't fundamentally changed for many years. We've still got to get face-to-face with our customers. We've still got to uncover their needs. We've still got to demonstrate we can satisfy their needs. We've still got to make sure that we're forming exactly the right relationship. Now, we talked a lot earlier on about the difference between business-to-business selling and business-to-customer selling. And it's fair to say that the modern trends, business-to-customer selling, is really pretty much about online. It's moved a long way online. In fact, I buy a lot of my stuff online. I'm wearing cufflinks that I bought online. What do you think? You see those? They're really cool. I really fell in love with these cufflinks. It's actually a small pocket watch there. For those of you at the back, really cool, isn't it? It's nice. I bought these online. So I'm trendy. I'm right up there buying things online. However, it's an analog pocket watch. So it's not a digital watch, it's analog. In fact, I've got one on each wrist. And this is South African time here. And this is Tanzanian time here. So just like your cell phone, only a little bit more complicated. So it's important to be ahead of the game here. Business to customer, definitely. But business to business is a long way away moving into the selling online. Business to business is still a lot about relationship building. a lot about the traditional skills that we must not forget. We might find new ways of doing it. We may not have to get face-to-face with a customer. We can do it on Skype or Zoom or any other one of the great technologies out there, but it's still a face-to-face meeting and the basics are still the same. So it's my job this afternoon to share with you how we can improve our business-to-business selling. Now, I've been briefed to look at the sales process, and of course, that's quite a long thing. So what I've done here is taken out a few of the key elements to just share with you how we can improve on business-to-business selling, some of the things we can do. Before we get into that, though, I was asked by some of the other speakers to test your intelligence. So we're going to talk about selling here. Now, I've been in selling a long, long time. I got my first sales job when I was 22 years old. That's 6 or 7 years ago now. What? Okay, it's a long time ago. Far too long to count, actually. So I've been selling a long, long time. And so I know a little bit about what it takes to sell. Nowadays, I don't sell a product or a service. Now I sell ideas. I sell ideas. I stand up in front of audiences and sell ideas. And today, I'm hoping you will buy some of my ideas and take them away and use them in your business. The measure of whether successful or not is simple. The measure is, have you improved your sales by listening to what I have to say? If you haven't improved your sales, two things have happened. Either I'm no good at what I do, or you haven't listened and applied the things I've talked about. And it's frankly more likely to be the second thing than the first. So, listen to what we have to say, make notes. And some of those things you'll think to yourself, well, that doesn't work in my business. But you know, what I'd rather you think to yourself is, how can I make that work in my business? What can I do to adjust the principles that Richard is sharing today in order to make sure my business grows? Because that's why we're here. We're here to make sure our businesses grow. And if there's one issue that salespeople raise more than any other, it's the issue of price. We live in a price-driven market, I am told. Price is the only thing our customer cares about. In order to be more competitive, we have to decrease our price to keep up with the competition. I hear these things over and over again. Do any of those things sound familiar to you? Do they? Is that what your team is telling you right now? Well, watch out, because none of those things are true. We do not live in a price-driven market. We live in a quality-driven market. Price is never, and let me just underline that to make sure you fully got this. Price is never the only thing a customer cares about, and sometimes, you can be more competitive by increasing your price rather than decreasing it. Sometimes. Now, I can already see some heads shaking in the room, and that's okay. But what I'd like you to do is just suspend your disbelief for the moment. Then at question time, if you still have issues with this, let's raise them out, because we really need to get through this to make sure we're all walking away with the fundamental principles of where this price fits into the sales equation. So, just to give you a heads up on how this works, what I'd like you to do, how many people are salespeople in this room? How many of you are selling in this room? Hands up. Keep your hands up. Put them up. Pretend you're in Johannesburg. Put your hands up. Okay. That works in South Africa rather well. Okay, it doesn't work so well here. All right. Put your hands down. So way over half of us in the room are salespeople. The rest of us, you're still selling stuff. Even though you might be working in the accounts department or human resources, you're still selling yourself. You're selling your ideas. Now, what I'd like you to do is to take your sales hat off. Take your sales hat off and put that other hat on that we all wear. Because the one thing we've all got in common is we are all customers, aren't we? We all buy things. Now, as a customer, do you only ever buy the cheapest? Do you? No, of course not. For instance, how many of you have driven here today in the cheapest possible car you could? Anybody? Cheapest possible car, usually have one or two. Okay, we aspire to something a little bit better. about the coffee you have at home. Is it the cheapest pot coffee you could buy? Probably not. Let's imagine you go into your local shop here, your appliance shop, to buy yourself a music player. What would you do? Would you buy the cheapest possible music player you could buy? Certainly not. We aspire to something a little bit better, don't we? But when we put our sales hat back on, we think our customers only care about price. It just isn't true. But they'll tell you it is true. They'll tell you you're going to have to sharpen your pencil if you want this contract. Twice? Yeah, all the time. So, you see, the challenge here is that if we believe them, then we have to negotiate with them, and salespeople are not great negotiators. I'm hoping to change that. That is my passion, to change, to move minds, to get salespeople to understand that they are still negotiators, whether they like it or not. So, we don't ourselves just buy the cheapest. We have to understand that our customers do that either, although they will tell you they do. You see, the first thing your customers care about has got nothing to do with price. The first thing your customers care about is it going to work? That's the first question. Is it going to work? Doesn't matter how cheap it is. If it doesn't work, there's absolutely no point in buying it. True? Is it going to work? Now, the is it going to work question is not a price question. It's a quality question. So the first question in your customer is not price, it's quality. That is the first question. Because the moment you are selling at a lower price, the perceived quality has gone down as well. You don't sell more just because you bring your price down. What you do is you lose your customers because they think you're bringing the quality down at the same time. Now, there's a whole load of different issues involved here, but fundamentally, that's the way. We don't want to be the cheapest. You see, when I was a young man, the quality of a hi-fi or radio music player wasn't measured by price, it was measured by weight. This is absolutely true. When I was young, music players were big oak boxes with metal frames and valves in. Do you remember those? Your grandpa, you don't. Andy does. So they're metal frames with valves in. They're very heavy things. Take 3 people to lift it into your front room. And then, this is about the late 1960s, the Japanese, I know for your time, the Japanese flooded the market with cheap transistor radios and hi-fis. Now these things were plastic and not wood. These were transistors and not valves, so they were very light. And so, if you were going to buy a music player, you would go to your appliance shop, and while the sales assistant wasn't looking, you'd pick it up. Because if it was heavy, it was probably better quality. If it was light, it was probably quality. Now, the Japanese, clever little fellows, the Japanese, they realized what they were doing, so they started to stick lights inside their radios and hi-fi. And if opportunity, this microphone is driving me mad coming in. And let's try the other one. Let's see if that works better. One, two, okay. Stay. Good. So, if you ever had the opportunity of taking apart your parents' attic somewhere and you find an old radio, just do yourself a favor and take the back of it, because inside the back panel you will find a lead weight, and that lead is inside there to make it heavier. That's all it does. It just makes it heavier. Because if it was heavier, the perception was it was better quality. If it was perceived to be better quality, they could charge a higher price for it. You see, quality is not a fact. It's a feeling. It's a perception. And if we want to charge our premium price for the products we're selling, we have to get across that perception of quality first. If you can do that, you can get away with charging your premium price. It's a wonderful technique. So how do we do that? What do we do to get the perception of quality across to our customers? The first thing to remember is this. Every way in which you communicate with your customers has got to be perceived to be of quality. What are your salespeople like? Are they seen as good quality salespeople? Those people who are putting their hands up, are you? Okay, so what we need to do is get that perception of quality across to our customers. The salespeople first. Are they quality salespeople or are they just order takers? Are your salespeople order takers? If they are, get them trained. You cannot afford to have order takers, you have to have salespeople. The guys this morning have been talking about some of the great selling skills, but if your guys are going to simply go out, give the customer a brochure and tell them to choose what they want, then that is not selling, it's order taking. If your guys are sitting in the office and somebody rings up for a quote and the guy simply sends them a quote and never follows it up, that is not selling, that is order taking. We don't do that in selling. In selling, it's a whole different ball game, and if you're not sure, then find out. You need to develop much better selling skills if that's the way we're selling right now, because your competitors are generally just order takers. Most salespeople are. You can get ahead of the game simply by learning simple selling skills and applying them. It's not difficult. It is just a matter of application. What about everybody else in your business? Do they see themselves in quality? Who is the most important person employed in your business? The single most important person, apart from yourself, of course. Most important person. Apart from yourself, the receptionist. Yes, thank you. Your receptionist, the person who answers the phone, they're right at the pointed end of your business. Now, why is it that those people are always paid the least amount of money? It makes no sense at all. They're right at the pointed end of your business. I want you to do me a favor. When you go into work next week, you're probably going to be here all week listening to the great speakers, but when you go to work, the next time you go into work, stop off at a small shop on the way to work and buy a little box of chocolates. Nothing too special, a little box of chocolates. And when you get to work, if you've got a good telephonist or receptionist or person who answers the phone, if they're good at their job, you give them the chocolates and you say, "Thank you very much for making my job easier today." If you've got a terrible receptionist, then you keep the chocolates and you eat them. Because you're going to need the extra energy today just to do your job well. Everybody in the business has got to seem to be in quality. Every way in which we communicate with our customers has got to be seen to be of quality. What are your business cards like? Are they quality? If not, throw them away, start again. What are your brochures like? Is it good quality brochures? I have an issue with brochures anyway, but they've got to be high quality. Your quotes and your proposals, are they good quality or not? Because, and I think Andy mentioned this earlier on, we sometimes don't get to see the person who makes the decision. He or she may have a number of different proposals. If yours is not of good quality, if it doesn't stand out, you're not going to get the business. Doesn't matter what else is in them. Every way in which we communicate with our customers has got to be seen to be of quality. And then, and only then, can we start to sell at our premium price. Having said that, we have to understand this simple premise. If I can make this work. There it is. It is easier to sell the higher priced product. It is easier to sell the higher priced product. Let me give an example. Let's imagine I've got two cars in front of me here. The first car over here is a 1995 City Golf. Okay? Price on the window, how much would that be in Tanzanian shillings? Any idea? City Golf? Do you have Volkswagen here? Not really. Cheap, nasty car. Toyota. Okay. Toyota Corolla, 1995. How much would that be? $2,000. Okay, this man's clever. He talks in dollars. Let's say it's $2,000. And over here, I've got a brand new, straight out of the box, S-Class Mercedes 500. Price on the window would be $200,000. Okay, two different cars. What is the first question you're going to ask about the Toyota Corolla 1995? First question. Does it work? Absolutely right. Does it work? Very first question. Now, what is the very last question you would ever ask about the Mercedes? The last question you would ask. Does it work? Can you imagine standing in the Mercedes showroom looking at this brand new S500 and saying, oh, this is nice, does it work? You'd get thrown out, wouldn't you? You see, now I know that's an extreme example, but the basic principles are in place here. If you price yourself down the bottom of the market with the rats and mice, the first question your customers are going to ask is, does it work? If you price yourself away from the rats and mice, and I'm not saying overprice here, I'm not saying price yourself out of the market, but it price yourself away from the rats and mice, the customers stop asking, does it work? And they start to ask, can I afford it? And the can I afford it objection is a much easier one to handle than the does it work objection. We don't want to be the cheapest. That is it. And the moment you aspire to bring your price down below your competitors, what you are aspiring is to go out of business. Let's get this very clear. And quite frankly, I haven't worked with any of you in this room, but quite frankly, the first thing I would do when I sat down with you would be to look at your price list and put a 0 on the end or double it or whatever we had to do to price yourself away from your competitors. You don't want to be the cheapest. But of course, if you just have order takers, if you put your price up, you're going to go out of business. So there's a whole load of other stuff we have to have in place. Now, in order to do that, I want to share with you something called the circle of satisfaction. Now, the circle of satisfaction, there it goes, it's a simple pie chart. And each portion of this pie represents a different need as far as your customers are concerned. Now, we have 4 portions of the pie here. I've made it very simple. Trust me, your customers have more than 4 needs. And when your salespeople come back saying, I couldn't make the sale because I uncovered a need and that wasn't enough for the customer, well, the salesperson didn't do his job well enough. However, and we're going to get to that in a little while. Each portion of this pie represents a different need. We just made it simple here. This particular customer has got a delivery need. He's looking for delivery, let's say, on Monday. This customer's also got a price need. Everybody's got a price in their mind. Doesn't mean you have to stick to it, but every customer's got a price in their mind. This customer's also got a quality need. And you'll notice that the portion of this pie, the quality portion, is larger than the others because in here we include whether it works or not. And it doesn't matter how cheap it is, if it doesn't work, it's no good to that customer. So that has to be the most important portion of the pie. This customer's also got a relationship need. They're looking for a long-term relationship from a good supplier. Now, the way the circle works is this, and it is very simple. If you or your salespeople can fill the circle, and by that I mean you uncover all of the customer's needs and demonstrate you can satisfy them, if you can fill the circle, the customer will buy. That's it. However, more often than not, we don't fill the circle. Let's, for instance, imagine that we cannot fully satisfy the customer's quality need. They're looking for delivery need, let us say. They're looking for delivery on Monday, and we can only get it to them on Thursday. So this portion of the pie is now smaller. And let's also imagine that we cannot fully satisfy the customer's quality need, or maybe we can, but we haven't been able to demonstrate to him that we can. So this portion of the pie is now smaller. If the circle is not full, the customer will not buy. So what the customer does in his own mind, he says, look, if you cannot fully satisfy my delivery need, and you cannot fully satisfy my quality need, I may still buy, but only if you over-satisfy my price need. And of course, by that we mean selling at a lower price. But if we do uncover all of the needs, price becomes less of an issue. The really cool thing about this circle is it also works in the other direction. Sometimes sometimes you can provide a greater level of, let's say, quality than the customer was expecting to get. And you see what's happened to price here. We've squeezed price, so we can charge more than the customer was expecting to pay, and he won't mind because he is getting more for it. See, that is our challenge. The price issue is not the issue, and I'm going to demonstrate why. Let's imagine I've got two boxes in front of me here. Box B, box A. Two boxes. Can you see those boxes? Yeah? Can you see them? They're not really there. I'm just making this up. Okay. So we got two boxes. Let me walk around them so it'll make you feel happier. We got two boxes here. Box A, box B. Box A and box B are identical. They're both manufactured by the same manufacturer off the same production line. The only difference between the boxes is they are sold by a different supplier. Box A is 30,000 shillings. Box B is 40,000 shillings. Which one would you buy? They're identical. This is not a trick question. Which one would you buy? 30,000, of course you would. Nobody's going to spend 40,000 shillings for something that they could get for 30,000, correct? Now, let's imagine with box B, not only do you get the box, but you also get a lifetime guarantee, delivery over the next 24 hours, and a very attractive salesperson to sell it to you. Which box would you buy now? 40,000. Why? Why? Yes, but what does that mean to you? What is it? It's better what? Value, that's it. It's better value. Customers do not care about price, they care about value. And when you or your salespeople start to talk about a customer putting too much pressure on you to lower the price, no, he isn't. He's putting pressure on you to demonstrate the value. We don't mind spending more as long as we see it as good value. Is that true? That's what we've got to focus on here. There are a whole load of other things we need to pay attention to here. But in order to uncover the customer's needs, what we have to do is to have the correct form of dialogue. I was asked in my presentation to talk about the sales process. So I've just presumed now that we are with the customer. We have made an appointment. We're sitting face to face with the prospect. An open question is a question that starts with who, what, why, when, where, how. Any of those questions will get an open answer, a longer answer. We don't use closed questions to uncover customers' needs. So we're using an open question to uncover the customer's needs. In the case earlier on, I asked you what business you're in, what sort of problems are you facing. These are all open questions. Then you told me about your sales team and they can't close the sale. So then I used a closed question to confirm what you just said. And the closed question was, so your problem is that your team won't close the sale? Yes, that's my problem. It's lovely how this stuff works, isn't it? So you use a closed question to confirm that need. Okay. There we go. So we've confirmed the need. Now the challenge here is to make sure that the customer is then, we have to make sure that we can solve that problem for the customer. And there are 3 stages to doing that. The first stage is to offer the customer a support statement. And a support statement is to tell the customer we've done it before, we know what we're doing. And in your case, I said to you, many customers have exactly the same problem as you do. Many salespeople really battle to close the sale. That isn't selling anything, but it is giving the customer confidence that I know what I'm doing. Then go on to offer the customer your benefit. And your benefit is the feature that satisfies the customer's need. But when we get to this point in the sale, the benefit should be focusing on the end result the customer wants. You see, in most cases, the customers don't want to buy what you're selling. In most cases, the customer wants the end result that it will give them from buying what you're selling. Does that make sense? Yeah? Let me give you an example. How many people in this room have ever had a Parker pen? Show of hands. Ever owned a Parker pen? Okay, a few of you, all right. Now, what business are Parker pens in? Pens, no. They're not in the pen business. What business are they in? Stationery, no. 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 Is this going to take long? Sorry? No idea. Correct. They had no idea for a long, long time because they thought they were selling pens. But they're not selling pens. Those people who put their hands up, where did you get your Parker pen from? Did you? Yes, as a gift. Absolutely right. Parker pens don't sell pens, they sell gifts. Does that make sense? Yeah? So, I don't know, in your stationery shops here, you'll never see any adverts for Parker pens until Christmas. 95% of their marketing budget is at Christmas, because that's when people buy gifts. The point I'm trying to make here, it's a simple point, that Parker pens now understand that they're not selling pens, they're selling gifts. The end result the customer gets from buying what you're selling may not be what you think it is. So we have to focus on the end result. And here, when we're talking about the benefit, we need to focus on the end result the customer's going to get. I'll give you another example. You see, we've got projectors here doing a fine job. And now I have a distinct dislike for projectors. I love what they do. I couldn't do my job without it in many cases. But they're heavy, the bulbs go at the wrong times, they're a nightmare to take on and off aeroplanes. So I have this problem, a love-hate relationship with projectors, but I get through a lot. I bought one, probably every year we get through one. So last time somebody sold me one, he said to me, Richard, he said, this projector's got 2,500 ANSI lumens. And I looked at him a bit like you're looking at me here, because I had no idea what he was saying. And then he went on to say, and the benefit to you is you will get the brightest possible picture on the wall behind you wherever you are. You see, I'm not buying the projector. I don't want the projector. I'd rather do without it. What I'm buying is the picture on the wall. That's what I'm buying, the end result. And that phrase is a very useful phrase for you to use with your customers. And the benefit to you is... build that into your dialogue if you can. So, Mr. Customer, this is what we've got, this is what it will do, and the benefit to you is, this is the end result you'll get from that. Does that make sense? Very powerful to get and we have proof here that it works very well. Thank you very much. And finally, finally you get agreement at the end. You get the customer to agree that this need is satisfied by this benefit. This problem is solved by this solution. So, open question, closed question, support, benefit, agreement. Try, if you can, with your sales teams to begin the dialogue in this way. And once you've got agreement here, what is the next stage? Anybody? Sorry? The product or service? Okay. The next stage is, and what normally people say is you close the sale, but you don't close the sale. That wasn't what we practiced earlier on, was it? No. Okay. So the next stage is you ask more open questions, because we've only uncovered one need and provided one solution. So we keep going, more open questions. And what other problems are you facing, Mr. Customer? And you keep going until such time as that customer is demonstrating buying signals, and then, and only then, will you ask for the business. So that's very simple stuff. Selling is not complicated, otherwise I'd never be able to do it. It's simple stuff. But you will get objections from time to time. You will get objections. An objection is where the customer says, I don't want to buy because. I don't want to buy because it's too much money. I don't want to buy because my brother-in-law is in the business. I don't want to buy because it's blue. I don't want a blue one. So I like to get objections. You see, Look, I would prefer that there were none at all, obviously. If the customer doesn't object, I can close the sale. But if the customer has a problem, then I want to know about it. I don't want him to hide it. I want him to raise it as an objection. So when a customer raises an objection, I'm going to say to him, I'm delighted you've said that, Mr. Customer. Most customers expect to put you on the back foot. Oh, it's too much money. I'm delighted you've raised that, Mr. Customer. Because you should be delighted because it gives you the opportunity to fix his problem. So there's 4 stages to handling an objection. The first one is to listen. Listen to the objection right the way through to the end. Do not interrupt your customer when he's raising a problem. Listen right the way through to the end. Then you will clarify that objection. Get it clear in your mind exactly what the customer is objecting to, and it's not always that clear. For instance, this objection here, it's too expensive. Have you ever heard that one before? Yeah? Once or twice a day? Yeah, it comes up, doesn't it? Always. It's too expensive. All right, so you're very, very good at listening to the it's too expensive objection. However, what is the customer thinking when he says it's too expensive? What is he thinking? Sorry? What is he thinking? That's one of the reasons. Absolutely right. You're not demonstrating good value. You haven't given him enough reasons to want to buy your product. It's too expensive. What other things might he be thinking? He might be thinking, that's good value, but my wife would kill me if I spend that much. What would you do if his wife would kill him if he spent that much? What would you do next? What would you do next? Sorry? Don't go. Did you say kill her? Oh, don't tell her. Okay, I thought you were very, very extreme here in Tanzania. But okay, so don't tell her would be one approach. But what would a better approach be? Give it as a gift to her. Okay. I don't know how your family works, but you just want the gift, and then you won't ask how much was it? Yeah, you would. Okay, no, if the customer says my wife would kill me if I spent that much, you're not selling to the decision maker, are you? You're selling to the wrong person. Go and sell to the wife, because we've worked out who wears the trousers in the family now. So you're just selling to the wrong person. What else could the customer be thinking when he says it's too expensive? What else? Maybe it wasn't qualified in the first place. And the it's too expensive is an indifferent objection. He actually doesn't need it. So, and this happens often. The customer says, it's too expensive. But what he's actually saying is, I don't need one, because you haven't qualified him properly. What else might he be thinking when he says it's too expensive? What else might he be thinking? Yes, he hasn't seen the benefits yet. For what you've explained so far, it's too much money. What else might he be thinking? Maybe he just doesn't have the money. What else might he be thinking? Sorry? I didn't understand a word of that. Say it again slowly. I'm old. My hearing's gone. No, you're kidding. Okay.
Probably the customer might analyze the product.
Okay. Maybe so. Maybe so. What else might you be thinking? Yes, hand goes up here. Maybe your competitors are cheaper. You see, the point I'm trying to make here is this. When we as salespeople hear the customer saying it's too expensive, we think we're going to have to lower the price to make the sale. Correct? But we don't. If we find out what the customer's problem is, then we're in a much better position to solve the problem, keep the price at the same level. Still sell at your premium price, but solve his problem first. We must never put up with it's too expensive. Like every other objection, you have to clarify that objection. Find out exactly what the customer is objecting to. And I came across a sentence years ago, probably 30 or 40 years ago, which I found to be very powerful with this it's too expensive objection. I get it a lot now. We as speakers, we charge a lot of money. And we're not selling for an hour, we're selling for the 40 years it's taken us to develop the skills to be able to give you that hour. And so very often customer will say to me, it's too expensive. In that case, I will always say this word for word. When you say it's too expensive, Mr. Customer, are you saying you cannot afford the price, or is there something I've missed? Now, in my experience, nobody ever says I don't have the money. And if they do say that, then they probably don't have the money. But what it forces people to tell you exactly what the problem really is. So he says, no, I've got the money, okay, it's just that my wife would kill me if I spent that much. Or, no, I've got the money, okay, it's just that your competitors are cheaper, why should I spend more? So, you find out when the customer says it's too expensive, clarify that objection. Get it clear in your mind exactly what the problem is. Use this sentence word for word. It works every time. It's never let me down. And it helps you find out what the problem is. So you listen, clarify, answer the objection, and of course you then get agreement at the end. We have a hand up here. Oh, you caught me out there, didn't you? No, you haven't. The other one is budgets are flexible, but budgets are also annual. So if it's not in the budget this year, well, let's start to build it in the budget for next year. Thank you for picking me up on that. I've got to be on my toes now. So there are, with price objections, we have to demonstrate value. Remember we said earlier on the customer doesn't care about price, he cares about value. And if we can demonstrate value, we're in a much better position to secure that sale. So with price objections, there are 4 things that we can use to demonstrate value. Add, take away, multiply, and divide. Now, you may have learned these at school. Some of you did, of course I didn't. I wasn't very good at school. I was at one of those schools, you know, where they think if they hit you harder, you'll work harder. It was a long time ago now. I was at school. I got hit a lot. I couldn't spell at school. It's one of the problems of being a speaker. Is one of the issues. I don't need to spell now. We have people for that. All I do is talk. So I couldn't spell at school. So did anybody here not be able to spell when they're at school? Just by show of hand. 1 or 2 people thinking, should I put my hand? No, I better not. I look so stupid. But it was, you know, when I was asked to write essays, I was told I had to write 100 words in an essay. I wrote 100 words. I'd stop in the middle of a sentence because the next word may have been a mistake. And you scribble your words, don't you, if you can't spell? There are a few people here nodding, so I know who you are. When you can't spell at school, you scribble your words, hoping that the teacher doesn't pick it up, that you haven't actually spelled it correctly. I wasn't good at school, but I could do the math. So add, take away, multiply, and divide. You add all the benefits that the customer's going to get. So you say to the customer, you know, Mr. Customer, once you purchase this product, you will get this, this, and this, and the benefit to you is that. Isn't it worth spending just a little bit more money for all these added benefits? Sorry? Okay, never mind. Okay, so, or you take away what the customer loses if they don't go ahead with the purchase right now. You take away what the customer loses. So you might say, for instance, you know, if we don't develop your website now, think of the sales you're going to lose over the coming months. So you take away what the customer will lose to demonstrate value. Or you multiply up the savings the customer's going to make over the period of time that they're using your product or service. Multiply up the savings. Simple stuff. Let's imagine you're selling printers, and the customer says, I don't want to spend that much money on printers. You say to the customer, you know, Mr. Customer, once you've installed our printers, you're going to save 10 cents per page. You print 300 pages a day in your offices, that's whatever that is, 30 Rand, I'm talking Rand here, I was trying to convert it to shillings, but the exchange rate is so complicated, I'm going to keep telling you in Rand. That's 30 Rand a week, 150 Rand a month. Mr. Customer, that's 7,200 Rand a year you're going to save once you've installed our printers. So you multiply up the savings to demonstrate the value, or you divide. You divide the extra cost of your product or service by some appropriate figure, whatever that might be. The extra cost, not the total cost. And that's one of the mistakes that we in selling often make. When the customer says, I don't want to spend that much money, you try and justify the full amount of the money that you want to charge your customer. But you don't have to. All you have to justify is the difference between your price and the competitor price. If he's already agreed he's going to buy it, he has to buy one or the other. So you focus on the difference. You don't focus on the total amount. With price objections, all we've got to try and do is demonstrate some comparative value. That's all. Not too challenging. And that's really what we've been trying to work on. All right, one last thing I want to share with you. Doesn't matter what skills you've got, actually. Some of you are great salespeople and never done any sales training in your lives. Others, and obviously there's nobody in this room like that, but others can do 2-week sales training every year and still not perform. So we need to be able to be peak performers. It's a matter of what we do with those skills. So I'm going to share with you some simple principles of becoming a peak performer in your business. Very simple stuff, this. The question is this: where is your training budget spent? Skills training or attitude training? Skills. What have we been doing all day? Skills. And yet, if you haven't got the attitude in place, it doesn't matter what skills you sit and listen to. It's all about attitude. Now, I'm going to very briefly talk a little bit about that and how important it is. And in order to work this out, what I've done, yes, we've done that. Skills and attitude, yeah, we've done that. Move on. Okay. Now, look, I'm not saying that skills aren't important. Skills are important. Of course they are. I told you earlier on I've got 7 children. 6 of them have passed their driving test. One, she's still too young, she can't drive yet. 6 of them have passed their driving test. Now, I don't know how it works in your family, but in my family, we start off in Mum's car, obviously, driving in the local shopping mall in the car park on a Sunday afternoon where it's quiet. And we drive round and round and round and up and down. And eventually, when we build up enough confidence, not the child, the parent this is, we get onto and some professional help, and then finally the child takes their test and they pass. Now they come back home with a piece of paper to say they have the skills to drive. But does that make them a good driver? No, absolutely not. You know what? You can spend all day here learning skills. You go away saying, I've got the skills now, but does that make you a good salesperson? Certainly not. And the worst part for a parent when you've taught the child to drive is when we wave them off in Mum's car, wondering whether we're ever going to see the child or the car ever again. And that's the challenge with skills. Until those skills are converted to habits, you haven't got it yet. And our challenge today is to take away what you've learned and apply what you've learned until what you've learned becomes a habit. When it's a habit, now you can say you have the skills. But as long as you are metaphorically thinking about putting your foot on the clutch to change gear, you haven't got it yet. Only when it's a habit have you got it. And now this is an attitude-o-meter. I'm sure you're all familiar with the attitude-o-meter. It's ranging from 0 here, which is poor attitude, to 10, which is great attitude. So where are you right now? Right at this moment on a scale of 0 to 10. We had a very long day. The air conditioning's obviously not working in here. And I don't know if you're as hot as I am, but it's been a tough afternoon. Where are you right now on a scale of 0 to 10? Anybody? 6, somebody? 5 over here? 9, 8, okay. Let's see what it says, because it takes an average of everybody in the room, obviously, you know. So what's it got there? Oh, there you go, 7.5. So it's now saying that everybody in the room, on average, we're at a 7.5. No, I should have told you this earlier. Well, I can tell you, it'll work now. What I like to do with this section is at the end of this section, what I like to do is get somebody to come from the audience and come and stand up here and give us a quick 5-minute presentation about how powerful this stuff is for you, how it works in your business. Now, obviously, I don't get volunteers for that. So what I did while we were having our lunch, one of the staff came in and stuck a yellow sticker under one of your chairs. And the person with the yellow sticker is the person who's going to do this quick 5-minute presentation. Maybe you want to have a check now, see who's got the yellow sticker. Put your hand, there's a prize as well. The person who got the yellow sticker, there's a prize. You won't be able to feel it, you actually have to have a look. See who's got the yellow sticker and put your hands up. Who's got the yellow sticker? Somebody must have it. Who's got the yellow sticker? Have a quick look, who's got it? Who's got the yellow sticker? You won't be able to feel it. You actually have to look and see if you've got the yellow sticker. Lift the chair up and have a quick look. Is it there? Who's got the yellow sticker? Only kidding, folks, only kidding. But think of this for a second. You thought it was going to be you, didn't you? Think of this for a second. There we were, cruising along at a number 7.5, minding our own business, and then somebody said you're going to have to make a fool of yourself. And which of you thought, I know it's going to be me? Why is it always me that ends up? And you go right the way down to a 0. But then you looked, no yellow sticker, somebody else has got to make a fool of themselves, and you go all the way up to a 10. So in the matter of... oh, goody, goody. Okay, they say I've got an hour left. I don't think I'm going to need an hour. Okay. So, that's very subtle, by the way. Thank you very much. Very subtle. So, in the course of just 30 seconds, there we were, number 0, number 7, number 0, number 10. In the matter of 30 seconds. Imagine what that's doing to your business. Now you may say, so what? So I had a bad day, so what? But you know, some disciplines can't afford to have a bad day, can they? What about your surgeon? You know, so I lost 2 today, but tomorrow I'll do better. You want your surgeon performing now. You don't want him to perform tomorrow. What about sports people? We've been talking a lot about football. I know nothing about football. I'm from England, and I should know lots about football because it's the national sport there. Well, fishing is the national sport, but soccer is nearly as powerful as fishing. And both I consider to be equally boring. However, you know, those sports people, they really got to be good, haven't they? But they can't afford not to be at a 10 out of 10. What about the Olympics? You get the high jumper. Have you seen the high jumpers? You seen them? I love the high jump. I don't know why, I just love it. They must be potty, obviously, trying to get their whole body over a bar taller than they are. I mean, really. Anyway, you know, there they are. Let's imagine I'm a high jumper. There they are, standing on the track, waiting to do their jump. Where do they have to be right now on a scale of 0 to 10? 10. They have to be at a 10. They cannot be at a 9.5. They have to be at a 10. So they start their run-up and they go. They're off. They run all the way to the high jump, and then they do something very strange. Have you seen them? They turn around and go over backwards. I mean, that must be harder, isn't it? Anyway, so they leap over, they land on this square sponge bob thing, and then their ankles grab the bar and it lands on their chest. Where are they now on a scale of 0 to 10? 0. 5 minutes later, here they are loosening up again on the track. Where do they have to be now? 10. They have to find a way of getting from a 0 to a 10 in just 5 minutes. How do they do that? What are they doing in those 5 minutes? Because if we knew what they were doing, we would learn a skill that in 5 minutes changes for us from a 0 to a 10. Wouldn't that be cool if we could just do that whenever we wanted to? That would be cool. So what are they doing? What are they doing to get themselves from a 0 to a 10 in 5 minutes? No, exactly not that. What are they doing? Anybody, what are they doing? How? How do they psych themselves up? Okay, okay. Absolutely. Do you know what they're saying? No, they're not saying that. No, but thank you for that contribution. Yeah, the rest of them are asleep, but you and I, we're really working here. And you and I too. Yeah, and over there, and of course, so you don't want to upset people, you know. No, I'll tell you exactly what they're doing. They are not psyching themselves up to do better next time. In their mind, they are imagining themselves having done it. Not going to do it, but having done it. They pump themselves up by focusing not on going to do it better, but having done it better. They get in their mind, they have done it better. They have achieved it. They won in their mind. And once they do that, of course, they're pumping themselves up psychologically from a 0 to a 10. So when they're loosening themselves up on the track again, they have already done it in their minds. So it's quite a simple thing for them to do it in actual fact. There's loads of examples of this I'm not going to share with you today, but there are plenty of examples on how this works. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much. Thank you.